Hello, it's Sleepy Steve, helping you to fall asleep and study. Remember to subscribe to help Steve-O out, and I will keep making more sleepy stories. Tonight, we are staying in Unit 3 Physical Education, Area of Study 1, and we are continuing to think about movement performance. In the last few episodes, we looked at movement skills, practice and feedback, and then the biomechanical principles that help explain how movement happens. Now we are going to turn quietly inward. Because performance is not only shaped by muscles, joints, forces, and energy, it is also shaped by the mind. The performer who stands on the free throw line, the runner waiting at the start, the tennis player preparing to serve, and the gymnast standing still before a routine all have something in common. They are not just preparing their bodies, they are preparing their thoughts, their emotions, their attention, their confidence, and their level of arousal. You might picture a quiet athletics track after school. The sky is turning soft and orange. A few hurdles are stacked neatly near the fence. A basketball sits beside a drink bottle. A stopwatch rests on the bench. There is no crowd tonight, and no pressure to win. There is only the calm space before performance, where the mind and body learn to work together. This episode is about psychological strategies for performance. That means we are thinking about the ways performers can manage arousal, anxiety, motivation, and concentration, and how strategies such as mental imagery, goal setting, and self-talk can support better movement performance. So take a slow breath in and a slow breath out. Let the track become quiet, let the body settle, and let's begin. Psychological skills are the mental qualities that help a performer participate and perform effectively. They include confidence, motivation, concentration, emotional control, and the ability to manage pressure. Psychological strategies are the techniques used to develop or use those skills. A performer may use goal setting to improve motivation. They may use mental imagery to rehearse a skill before performing it. They may use breathing and relaxation to reduce excessive arousal. They may use self-talk to focus attention and build confidence. The important exam idea is that psychological strategies should be linked to the performer, the activity, the weakness being addressed, and the improvement in performance. It is not enough to say that self-talk is helpful. A stronger answer explains how positive or instructional self-talk may help a nervous netballer focus on footwork and passing cues, reducing distracting thoughts and improving decision-making under pressure. So, just like practice and feedback, psychological strategies need to be selected with purpose. Let's begin with arousal. Arousal is the level of alertness, activation, or readiness of the body and mind. When arousal is very low, the performer may feel flat, slow, distracted, or unprepared. When arousal is very high, the performer may feel tense, rushed, anxious, or overloaded. For many activities, the aim is not to have the highest possible arousal. The aim is to reach an optimal level of arousal for that performer and that task. A sprinter may need a relatively high level of arousal because the event is explosive, fast, and powerful. A golfer putting quietly on a green may need a lower level of arousal because the movement requires fine control, precision, and calm attention. A basketballer shooting a free throw may need enough arousal to stay alert, but not so much that the hands become tense and the movement becomes rushed. This is why PE answers should avoid saying that more arousal is always better. More arousal may help performance up to a point, but after that point, too much arousal can interfere with coordination, decision-making, timing, and fine motor control. On the quiet track, imagine a runner waiting for a sprint start. If they are too relaxed, they may react slowly. If they are too tense, they may false start, tighten the shoulders, or waste energy before the race begins. The useful zone is somewhere in between, awake, ready, focused, but still controlled. Arousal regulation means using strategies to increase or decrease arousal so it is closer to the level needed for performance. If a performer is under-aroused, they might use energizing music, movement, cue words, a sharper warm-up, or motivational self-talk. They might tell themselves, quick feet, strong start, attack the first step. If a performer is over-aroused, they might use slow breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, a calming routine, or quiet focus cues. They might say, breathe, steady, one movement at a time. The goal is not to remove emotion from performance. The goal is to help emotion become useful rather than disruptive. Now, let's think about anxiety. Anxiety is a negative emotional state linked with worry, nervousness, or apprehension. It can include cognitive anxiety, which is the thinking part, such as worry, doubt, or fear of failure. It can also include somatic anxiety, which is the physical part, such as butterflies in the stomach, increased heart rate, sweating, muscle tension, or shallow breathing. Some nervousness before performance is normal. It may even show that the event matters to the performer. But if anxiety becomes too strong, it can narrow attention, increase muscle tension, reduce confidence, and disrupt skill execution. Imagine a tennis player about to serve at match point. The movement has been practiced many times. The ball toss is familiar. The swing is familiar. But now the mind begins to race. What if I double fault? What if I let the team down? What if everyone is watching? Those thoughts are cognitive anxiety. At the same time, the shoulders tighten, the breath becomes shorter, and the racket feels heavier than usual. That is somatic anxiety. A psychological strategy should help the performer bring attention back to what can be controlled. A breathing routine can slow the body down. A pre-performance routine can make the moment feel familiar. Instructional self-talk can bring attention back to the key movement cues. Mental imagery can allow the performer to rehearse a successful action before attempting it. For example, before serving, the tennis player might bounce the ball twice, breathe out, look at the target, say smooth toss, and then begin the action. The routine does not guarantee success, but it gives the performer a calm sequence to follow rather than letting the mind wander into fear. Now, let's move to motivation. Motivation is the direction, intensity, and persistence of effort. It explains why a performer chooses to participate, how hard they try, and how long they continue when the task becomes difficult. A motivated performer is more likely to attend training, complete practice with purpose, respond to feedback, maintain concentration, and keep trying after mistakes. There are different sources of motivation. Intrinsic motivation comes from within the performer. The performer participates because the activity is enjoyable, satisfying, challenging, or personally meaningful. A student may run because they like the rhythm of running. A swimmer may train because they enjoy improving technique. A basketballer may practice because they love the feeling of a clean shot. Extrinsic motivation comes from outside the performer. It may include awards, team selection, praise, rankings, results, scholarships, or recognition. Extrinsic motivation can be useful, but if a performer relies only on external rewards, motivation may weaken when rewards are removed or when progress slows. In performance settings, both types can exist together. A performer may enjoy the sport and also want to win selection. The key is to build motivation in a way that supports persistence, confidence, and learning. Goal setting is one of the most important strategies for motivation. Goals give effort a direction. They help the performer know what they are working toward. They also allow progress to be measured. There are different types of goals. Outcome goals focus on the final result, such as winning a race, making the team, or finishing in the top 3. Outcome goals can be motivating, but they are not always fully under the performer's control because opponents, conditions, and selection decisions can affect the result. Performance goals focus on the performer's own standard, such as reducing a sprint time, increasing serve accuracy, or improving a beep test score. Process goals focus on the actions needed during performance, such as keeping the elbow high, driving the arms, watching the ball, or maintaining a steady breathing rhythm. Process goals are especially useful during performance because they direct attention toward controllable cues. Imagine a student preparing for a 400-meter run. An outcome goal might be to win the heat. A performance goal might be to run under a certain time. A process goal might be to relax the shoulders down the back straight and drive the arms in the final 100 meters. A strong goal-setting plan often includes goals that are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-framed. A vague goal says, "Get fitter." A stronger goal says, "Improve the beep test score by 1 level over 6 weeks by completing 2 aerobic training sessions each week." In an exam, you would link this to performance by explaining that the goal gives clear direction, supports motivation, and allows progress to be monitored. Now, let's think about confidence. Confidence is the belief a performer has in their ability to complete a skill, meet a challenge, or perform successfully. Confidence affects how a performer approaches pressure. A confident performer is more likely to attempt skills, recover after mistakes, use positive self-talk, and stay committed to the task. A performer with low confidence may hesitate, avoid difficult skills, become distracted by errors, or interpret normal nerves as a sign that they are not ready. Confidence can be built through successful experiences, preparation, feedback, mental imagery, goal achievement, and supportive coaching. Small successes matter. A basketballer who begins by making close-range shots can gradually build confidence before moving further from the ring. A gymnast who practices a landing safely and consistently can build confidence before adding it into a full routine. A runner who sees training times improve may begin to trust that their preparation is working. Confidence is not the same as pretending everything is easy. It is a realistic belief that preparation, practice, and strategy can help the performer respond to the challenge. Self-talk is a useful strategy for confidence. Self-talk is the internal or spoken dialogue a performer uses before, during, or after performance. It can be positive, motivational, instructional, or negative. Positive self-talk might include, "I am prepared, stay calm, or I can reset after this mistake." Motivational self-talk might include, "Strong finish, keep working, or attack the next point." Instructional self-talk gives technical cues such as eyes up, follow through, quick feet, or soft hands. Negative self-talk can harm performance if it increases doubt, anxiety, or distraction. A performer who thinks, "I always miss under pressure," may become tense and focus on avoiding failure rather than executing the skill. Changing self-talk does not mean ignoring errors. It means using language that helps the performer respond productively. Instead of saying, "Don't mess this up," the performer might say, "Breathe and follow through." Instead of saying, "I can't do this," they might say, "One cue, one attempt." The words are simple, but they direct attention back to the task. Now let's focus on concentration. Concentration is the ability to focus attention on relevant cues and maintain that focus for the time required. In sport and physical activity, the performer is surrounded by information. There may be teammates, opponents, crowd noise, weather, scoreboards, coach instructions, fatigue, and thoughts about previous mistakes. Good concentration helps the performer attend to the cues that matter and ignore the ones that do not. A netballer may need to focus on the timing of a teammate's lead and the position of a defender. A tennis player may focus on the ball, the opponent's body position, and the target area. A swimmer may focus on stroke rhythm, turns, and pacing. A basketballer shooting a free throw may narrow attention to breath, target, and follow through. Concentration can be broad or narrow, and it can be internal or external. A broad focus might help a footballer scan the field for teammates and defenders. A narrow focus might help a golfer concentrate on the ball and the putting line. An external focus is directed toward the environment, such as the target, the opponent, or the ball. An internal focus is directed toward the body, such as breathing, muscle tension, or movement cues. The most useful focus depends on the skill and the moment. A performer may scan broadly before choosing a pass, then narrow attention as the pass is executed. Concentration strategies include cue words, routines, breathing, refocusing plans, and simulation practice. A refocusing plan is useful after mistakes. It tells the performer what to do next, rather than letting attention remain stuck on the error. For example, after missing a shot, a basketballer might step back, take one breath, say next defense, and move quickly into position. This helps prevent one mistake from becoming a chain of mistakes. Now let's think about mental imagery. Mental imagery is the creation or recreation of an experience in the mind. The performer imagines a skill, a movement sequence, a competitive situation, or a successful response to pressure. Mental imagery is sometimes called visualization, but it can involve more than sight. A performer may imagine the feeling of the movement, the sound of the ball, the rhythm of breathing, the weight of the racket, or the timing of the jump. Good imagery is vivid and controlled. Vivid means the image is clear and detailed. Controlled means the performer can guide the image in the direction they want. A basketballer might imagine receiving the ball, bending the knees, lifting smoothly, releasing with soft fingers, and seeing the ball drop through the ring. A high jumper might imagine the approach, the curve, the takeoff, the arch over the bar, and the landing on the mat. A runner might imagine the first 10 meters of a sprint start, feeling the powerful push through the ground and the drive of the arms. Mental imagery can support performance by strengthening confidence, rehearsing decision-making, reducing anxiety, and helping the performer prepare for specific situations. It can also be used during injury or recovery when the performer cannot physically practice as much as usual. In an exam answer, it is important to connect imagery to the skill. For example, a volleyball player could use mental imagery before serving by imagining the toss, arm swing, contact point, and target area, helping improve concentration and confidence before executing the serve. Now let's bring the strategies together in a practical example. Imagine a Year 12 student preparing for a basketball free throw in a final. The skill is closed and discreet, but the pressure is high. The performer may experience increased arousal and anxiety because the crowd is quiet and the outcome feels important. A useful psychological plan might include a pre-performance routine, slow breathing, instructional self-talk, and mental imagery. The performer receives the ball, places the feet, takes one slow breath, bounces the ball twice, says knees and follow through, imagines the ball traveling softly through the ring, and then shoots. Each part of the routine has a purpose. The breathing helps manage arousal. The self-talk directs concentration to technique. The imagery supports confidence and movement rehearsal. The routine creates familiarity in a pressured moment. Now imagine a sprinter before a 100-meter race. The performer may need higher arousal than the basketballer at the free throw line. Their strategy might include energizing self-talk, a sharp warm-up, cue words such as explode and drive, and imagery of the first few steps from the blocks. The goal is not to be sleepy or relaxed in the race. The goal is to be activated, focused, and controlled. Now imagine a golfer preparing for a putt. The performer may need lower arousal and very narrow concentration. Their strategy might include slow breathing, a consistent pre-shot routine, imagery of the ball rolling along the line, and a simple cue word such as smooth. The same psychological principle is being used, but the strategy changes because the task demands are different. This is an important point for VCE physical education. Strategies should not be chosen randomly. They should match the performer, the activity, and the performance problem. A performer who lacks motivation may benefit from goal setting. A performer who loses focus after mistakes may benefit from a refocusing routine and cue words. A performer who becomes too anxious before competition may benefit from breathing, relaxation, and mental imagery. A performer who lacks confidence may benefit from positive self-talk, achievable process goals, and successful practice experiences. A performer who is too relaxed before an explosive activity may benefit from energizing music, a dynamic warm-up, and motivational self-talk. A strong exam response often follows a simple pattern. First, identify the psychological factor affecting performance. Second, select an appropriate strategy. Third, explain how the strategy changes thoughts, emotions, attention, or arousal. Fourth, link that change to improved movement performance. For example, if a netball shooter experiences high anxiety before a goal attempt, slow breathing and a pre-shot routine may reduce excessive arousal and help the performer focus on controllable cues such as stance, target, and follow-through, improving shooting consistency under pressure. That answer defines the problem, selects a strategy, explains the effect, and links to performance. That is the kind of calm, connected thinking that helps in PE. Now the track is becoming darker. The hurdles are still stacked near the fence. The basketball rests quietly beside the drink bottle. The stopwatch has stopped ticking, and the performers have gone home, carrying not only tired muscles, but calmer minds. Tonight, we learn that performance is shaped by more than physical skill. Arousal affects readiness. Anxiety can interfere with movement if it becomes too strong. Motivation gives effort direction and persistence. Confidence helps performers trust their preparation. Concentration helps attention stay with the cues that matter. Goal setting can guide effort and measure progress. Self-talk can build confidence and direct focus. Mental imagery can rehearse movement and prepare the performer for pressure. And routines can help the mind and body feel steady when the moment matters. So, as you rest now, remember the simple idea. The body performs best when the mind is prepared. Not perfect, not empty. Prepared, a calm breath, a clear cue, a steady focus, a movement rehearsed gently in the mind. That is psychological preparation. And that is Unit 3 Physical Education tonight. The quiet mental strategies that help movement become more confident, controlled, and effective. This has been Sleepy Steve. Sleep well, and let the strategies settle quietly in your mind.